What if I told you one of America's loudest snacks did not begin as a billion-dollar flavor explosion, but as a strange little idea connected to Disneyland, leftover tortillas, and a restaurant that was not even trying to invent a legend? Today we are talking about Doritos, the triangle-shaped chip that somehow went from theme park side dish to gas station royalty, Super Bowl fuel, late-night gaming food, and one of the most recognizable snacks in American history. And the weirdest thing about Doritos is that they do not just taste like a snack. They taste like a decision you made after saying, "I will only have a few," which is almost never true. Doritos are loud before you even eat them. The bag is loud, the colors are loud, the crunch is loud, the powder is loud. Even the flavors sound like they were named by someone trying to win an argument. Nacho Cheese, Cool Ranch, Spicy Sweet Chili, Flamin' Hot, Dinamita, Sweet and Tangy Barbecue. This is not a quiet food. This is a snack that walks into the room wearing sunglasses indoors. But before Doritos became the chip of parties, sleepovers, vending machines, football commercials, and suspicious orange fingertips, the story begins in a place where American fantasy and American food business were already holding hands: Disneyland. In the 1950s and 1960s, Disneyland was not just a theme park. It was a giant laboratory for selling dreams, habits, and branded experiences. Families came for rides, characters, and perfectly arranged nostalgia, but they also needed to eat. Inside Frontierland, there was a restaurant called Casa de Fritos, connected to the Frito company, where guests could buy Mexican-inspired food in the middle of Walt Disney's carefully built version of the American frontier. And this is where the Doritos story gets wonderfully strange. According to the famous origin story, Casa de Fritos had extra tortillas, and instead of throwing them away, workers cut them into triangles, fried them, and seasoned them. Basically, someone looked at scraps and saw a snack. That may sound small, but American food history is full of moments like that. A mistake becomes a product. Leftovers become a business plan. Something meant to avoid waste becomes something people crave on purpose. The early chips were not exactly the Doritos we know today. They were more like plain toasted tortilla chips, closer to restaurant snacks than neon orange flavor bombs. But the idea was there, a crunchy triangle that felt familiar, fun, and easy to eat by the handful. The Frito-Lay company noticed. And once a snack company notices that people enjoy eating something casually, repeatedly, and without needing a plate, history starts moving fast. Doritos were launched nationally in 1966, and the first version was basically toasted corn. That is hard to imagine now because modern Doritos are so tied to aggressive seasoning that a plain corn chip almost feels like a completely different species. But that is how the empire started. Not with nuclear cheese dust, not with ranch powder, not with a Super Bowl commercial, but with a simple toasted corn chip. Then came the flavor escalation. Taco flavor arrived in the late 1960s, and suddenly Doritos were no longer just crunchy. They had personality. But the real turning point came in the 1970s with Nacho Cheese. That was the moment Doritos became Doritos in the way most people understand them today. Nacho Cheese was bright, salty, cheesy, slightly mysterious, and completely built for repeat eating. It did not taste exactly like real nachos, and that was the point. It tasted like the idea of nachos had been turned into dust by food scientists and placed onto a triangle. And America loved it, because America has always had a weakness for foods that are not exactly authentic, but are extremely good at being themselves. Doritos did not need to be a traditional tortilla chip. They needed to be snackable, bold, and unforgettable. The triangle mattered too. Most chips are round, curled, broken, or shapeless. Doritos had geometry. A Dorito looked designed. It had corners. It had edges. It had a sharp little attitude before you even bit into it. That shape made it perfect for scooping dip, but also perfect for branding. You could see a Dorito silhouette and know what it was. In snack food, that is power. Then, in the 1980s, Doritos found another identity with Cool Ranch. And honestly, Cool Ranch is one of the funniest flavor names in American snack history because it sounds calm, But the chip is not calm at all. It is tangy, herby, salty, creamy, and strangely addictive. It took ranch dressing, already one of America's favorite ways to make vegetables less vegetable-like, and turned it into chip powder. Nacho Cheese was loud in a warm, cheesy way. Cool Ranch was loud in a cooler, sharper, more mysterious way. Suddenly, Doritos had two personalities. One was orange and cheesy, one was blue and tangy. And together they became a snack aisle rivalry inside the same brand. That is how you know a food has become culturally powerful. People start choosing sides. Are you Nacho Cheese or Cool Ranch? That question sounds ridiculous, but ridiculous questions are exactly how brands become memories. Kids argued about it at lunch. Friends grabbed different bags at parties. People developed loyalty to a flavor the way sports fans develop loyalty to a team. And all of this happened because Doritos understood something important about American snack culture. Flavor is not just flavor. Flavor is identity. If Cheetos turned mess into a ritual, Doritos turned boldness into a personality. The brand eventually leaned into that with one of the most famous advertising ideas in snack history: for the bold. That phrase worked because it did not try to pretend Doritos were elegant or healthy or traditional. It said exactly what the chip was: big flavor, loud crunch, no apology. And then Doritos became connected to another giant American ritual: the Super Bowl. Super Bowl advertising is not just advertising. It is a national competition to see which brand can get millions of people to laugh, argue, re-watch, and remember a product during the most expensive snack day of the year. Doritos fit perfectly there. Football parties already needed chips. Doritos already felt like party food. And the brand's commercials became part of the entertainment. Doritos was not only selling chips anymore, it was selling a moment. Friends on a couch, a table full of snacks, a game on TV, someone reaching into the bag again even though they said they were done. That is the quiet genius of Doritos. It does not need to be the main event. It attaches itself to the main event and then becomes impossible to remove. Game night? Doritos. Road trip? Doritos. Vending machine lunch? Doritos. Convenience store at midnight? Doritos. Teenage bedroom with a controller, a soda, and crumbs everywhere? Absolutely Doritos. Over time, Doritos also became a perfect food for youth culture because it felt slightly rebellious without being dangerous. It was messy, intense, and clearly not something your doctor would describe as a balanced meal. That gave it power. It was fun because it was unnecessary. Nobody needs Doritos. That is the point. Doritos exist in the category of foods that say, "We are done being responsible for the next 6 minutes." And then came one of the strangest and smartest crossovers in fast food history, the Doritos Locos Taco. Taco Bell took its taco shell and made it taste like nacho cheese Doritos. On paper, that sounds almost too obvious. In reality, it was brilliant. It connected two forms of Americanized Mexican-inspired food into one extremely clickable object. A taco shell that tasted like Doritos was not subtle. It was not refined. It was not trying to impress a food critic. It was trying to make people say, "Wait, they did what?" And that is exactly what happened. The Doritos Locos Taco became a massive hit because it turned a snack flavor into architecture. Doritos was no longer just inside the bag. Doritos had escaped and become a shell, a coating, a dust, a cultural ingredient. That is when a snack brand enters a different level. It becomes a flavor system. You can put Doritos dust on chicken, fries, popcorn, tacos, nachos, casseroles, and strange internet recipes, and people understand the message immediately. It means bold, it means crunchy, it means cheesy. It means this food is not here to behave. But of course, like every great American snack story, there is a weird tension underneath the fun. Doritos are engineered to be easy to keep eating. The crunch is satisfying, the seasoning builds up, the salt makes you want more. The powder sticks to your fingers, then rewards you at the end when you lick it off. The chip is light enough that one handful does not feel like a lot, but suddenly the bag looks much emptier than expected. That is not magic, that is food design. Snack companies study texture, aroma, color, sound, and flavor release. They know that a sharp crunch can make food feel fresher. They know bold seasoning can make mild food feel exciting. They know contrast keeps people interested. Doritos are not just tasty, they are carefully constructed little triangles of desire. And that is why they are so American. They began with something simple and practical, then became bigger, louder, more flavored, more branded, more theatrical, and more impossible to ignore. The journey from Disneyland tortilla scraps to nacho cheese dominance tells you a lot about American food culture. We love origin stories that sound accidental. We love foods that feel like they were discovered instead of designed. But we also love when companies take that small idea and turn it into something polished, packaged, advertised, and available everywhere. Doritos are both things at once. They are a fake casual snack with a very serious business behind them. They feel spontaneous, but they are engineered. They feel playful, but they are one of the most successful snack products ever made. They pretend to be just chips, but they carry decades of marketing, flavor science, fast food partnerships, and American nostalgia. And maybe that is why Doritos never really left the culture. Some snacks belong to a specific decade. Doritos keep finding new rooms to walk into. They were a 1960s tortilla chip experiment, a 1970s nacho cheese explosion, a 1980s Cool Ranch icon, a Super Bowl advertising machine, a Taco Bell shell, a gaming snack, a meme flavor, and a comfort food for people who know exactly what they are doing and choose the orange bag anyway. So what is the weird history of Doritos really about? It is about how a leftover became a launch pad. It is about how Disneyland, of all places, helped spark one of America's loudest snacks. It is about how plain corn became a triangle with attitude. It is about how cheese powder and ranch seasoning turned into personal identity. It is about how a snack can move from a theme park restaurant to the Super Bowl to Taco Bell to your fingertips. Doritos are not just chips. They are proof that in America, even a leftover tortilla can become a cultural machine if someone fries it, seasons it, brands it, and makes it loud enough to take over the room.